GhostNET Paranormal Podcast presents.
The horror began in June 1984. Los Angeles was under siege. Death waited in the dark at the hands of a man they called the Night Stalker. After a 14-month reign of terror, he was finally caught. It was only then that his true identity was discovered. His name, Richard Ramirez.
Elisa Lamb was said to be traveling to Santa Cruz.
A Canadian tourist was traveling alone on January 28th.
Very perplexing mystery here. What more do we know about this case?
The Cecil Hotel.
Welcome, everyone, to the GhostNET Paranormal Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Mullins.
And I'm your co-host, Travis Kane.
Our last episode, we talked with psychic medium Arlan Avalon on spirit connections and new personal techniques that involved your own energy to use on the field of paranormal investigating. But now, we are jumping ahead with a brand new episode and going deeper down this rabbit hole of the unknown in a location that is riddled with suicide, murder, and mystery. We have a special guest joining us to explain some of these mysteries that lie inside one of America's notorious buildings in this episode called the Cecil Hotel. So please welcome our special guest, psychic medium and good witch, as well as her recurring role with the Ghost Adventures crew, Patti Negri.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me on. My name is Patti Negri. I am a psychic. I am a medium. I am a witch. I use the term good witch. I like Wizard of Oz. I do lots of things, but I'm most known for my regular occurrences on Ghost Adventures for the last 6 years.
Being the Cecil Hotel, you've been in there, and the whole Ghost Adventures crew. Before that, I mean, you've had experience in that place.
It's crazy. I've been there 2 nights with Ghost Adventures, but I've been there 2 nights with them. I've been there 1 long night till sunup with the TFIL crew, and then recently I was able to bribe my way in. Don't tell anybody. Stuff is already happening now. They're moving people in, which we could talk about later, but I'm like, the concept is great. Moving in homeless people off the streets, low income, but the place affects you badly, and especially affects you badly if you have people with like some mental imbalance or a drug or alcohol problem, which is everyone they're moving in. Ambulances were there recently. There's nothing like the Cecil I've ever experienced, and I've experienced a lot of things.
Now, you said that whoever goes in there, it affects them. So, let's go back to 2013 with Lisa Lamb. Everybody says she played this paranormal game, elevator game. It just altered her mind. You got to put in perspective that you had serial killers. Richard Ramirez, he practiced devil worshiping in that facility. There's so many things that people just overlook that has happened in that hotel that is causing people's minds to change. There's so many different energies that are hitting the living.
Yeah, that play, it's a generator, something like an egregore or something has been created. There is something, it's affecting the dead that are there. Some dead are really stuck there. There's this created, I don't know if the word demonic or whatever, that's holding the dead people there, which is sort of rare in some aspects, and affecting the living in a negative way. I get within a half a block of that place and you just want to kill yourself. It's depression, hopelessness.
What I can tell after all the research I've done on it, it's just a never-ending cycle of just despair at that hotel.
There's something underground. I mean, it's downtown LA. Who knows what's under there? Good lines. It was built and then the Depression hit. So it was supposed to be this big, elaborate, beautiful place, but it never was.
I mean, I saw the documentary. It blew my mind, with their family coming down from a foreign country down to the United States just to look for her. The weird states that she was going through.
Being spiritually possessed. Then on the cameras they showed her, it looked like she was walking and kind of like how she was describing, kind of like a zombie, just mindlessly wandering around.
What was possessing her? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, and I know she had she had some kind of a mental issue, whatever, she was bipolar or something like that. And that's going to certainly affect those people more, but that's not what it was. And And there had to be something supernatural. We were up there. We climbed up by the water tower. She could not have done that herself without either a human or a spirit possessing her, whatever. And I don't know that a human, it would take a very strong person to climb that ladder and open that thing and put her in. She could not have done it herself. None of it makes sense.
Exactly. Even the documentary stated, like, could have somebody broke in and lured her in from the elevator and brought her up there, maybe drugged her and opened that up and put her in there.
I watched another documentary. Someone had asked about that, what you just said, Matt, and they were like, it's plausible. And then they had like a dummy that weighed the same as her. They had someone try to put them over their shoulder and climb up that ladder, and they were like, if someone did this, they'd have to be in like prime shape and be built like big old muscle man, like a pro wrestler. That's how they'd have to be built. Her, even with like 100+ pound girl on your shoulder or strapped to you somehow, it'd be extremely hard. Did you ever feel her presence there when you were there?
A little bit, not as strong as everything else. It's almost like she gets overshadowed in a sense. I did with the TFIL crew. We did play the elevator game. It was scary. There's a whole thing to it that if it goes down to a certain floor, then you didn't get allowed into that otherworldly place. And I go to otherworldly places all the time. That is my world. But this was a dark otherworldly place. You feel it. You feel like you're on it. Literally, you like on a different planet or whatever. And the little bit I felt her was very sad. Again, that same thing that takes over everyone, that desperation, hopelessness, and anybody. I'm pretty much the world's happiest person. I just am. And then just you two walk in going, I want to kill myself. It's just like weird.
Going on with more evil entities at the hotel. Have you ever sensed Richard Ramirez there?
I did not sense him. I know we went into his room. Boy, there is there is very prominent spirits there. I personally did not, at least that he didn't tell me he was Richard Ramirez. I wish I would have, but I can't say I sensed him. Well, I don't know if he is that overlying thing. There's something created that's so dark that, like I said, affects the living and affects the dead. The dead are like zombies too, which is weird. It's not like, I understand big in life, big in death, depressed in life, depressed in death. They're stuck, they're being controlled, they can't get out. So is that him? I don't know. Or there another serial killer live there too? I don't know. I think it's a created spirit, so much darkness and so much evil. It's like an egregore got created. I keep wishing, and I might have to figure out how to make it happen without getting arrested. I really want a shaman, preacher, priest, rabbi, witch, healer, everybody go like hold hands around the building, sing Kumbaya or something, and for those poor people that are moving in. And when I was there again recently, there's 700 rooms, and you have to apply for it because it's like government subsidy kind of things. But even with that, only 30, this was several weeks ago now, maybe in a month, only 30 of the rooms were taken. They tried to make out of 700 rooms, and there's so many homeless downtown, but they tried to make come rent apartment with us, like all modern, like 60s mod. It's like, that's not what they're moving into. The few tenants, while we were standing out to figure out how to get in, that walked in were total like zombie looking. And yes, they're just off the streets homeless, and they're probably drugs and mental things, but literally they were almost walking in like this and talking and crazy, bringing in the drug dealers, bringing in their whatever. And I'm like, I'm so worried for them all.
They're just basically starting it back up again.
Yeah.
They're starting what it got built to, and then the Great Depression happened and Skid Row happened, and then all these drug dealers and drug addicts would move into these apartments alongside back in the day, and now you're starting it back up again. I understand that it's in a poverty part of town. You make this website that looks so amazing and so appealing, and that's what got Lisa Lam attracted to this location, but there has to be something else that attracted her, some kind of entity that kind of brought her to this. And once they had her in their grips, they did what they could, and this is what happened in 2013.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's like, of all the places or cheap places you could say, go to a Motel 6. Why do you, whatever, do you go there to say it? but it permeates the street below it. There's like, it's a funky area of downtown LA. There's across the street, there's an old building, but it's high end. It's fancy apartments. It's like lofty apartments, like artisty, doorman, high rent. I had to go clear an apartment recently because it was creeping in. It was creeping up. Just like smoke will creep in from your one apartment to the next, this darkness. And this was a beautiful girl, lived there, music teacher, all this stuff, and it was creeping in. I just shot another TV thing there, and they didn't even get in. We didn't even have to get in. It was weird. You're shooting outside. We're shooting around. Because the city or whoever runs it now is getting real picky. They're trying to work against what it is and their reputation.
Do you think with Hotel and the reputation it has, with them opening it back up and just like Matt said, it's just going to start everything over again, do you think all of that darkness will spread to the other buildings around it?
Probably, yeah. I mean, it already has. There's something so on the ground right there. And again, if you're in the fancy apartment across the street and, you see endless ambulances and police cars and whether or not people are jumping out the windows or not, it's creepy. And you just, it's ominous. You almost hear a soundtrack, like we're so used to movies. We all grew up on movies and the scary movie and you're looking up to the building. I've got a million pictures of looking up and when I was doing a TV show, this is downtown. We don't have that many like hawks and wild birds of prey. They kept landing on this one building. It's not like somebody was feeding them out there. It's just, you're walking into a horror film, kids, you are.
Exactly. I mean, you can easily shut down the Cecil and move it, make a franchise out of it. But you already made that reputation to what this place is on ground zero of Skid Row, with the reputation with Lisa Lam and Ramirez and all the other serial killers that maybe have not come up in the world, that were homeless, that have done these crimes, and that have not been like televised on the news. You have this reputation of suicide and everything like that. So the Cecil Hotel is going to be on that map as, just the hotel that, where am I going to stay at in LA? Definitely not the Cecil.
Not the Cecil. Well, again, it isn't even a hotel anymore. It's an apartment building. Somebody goes, oh, they should tear it down. It's this beautiful, it just needs to be really cleansed, but it would take more than one person to cleanse it. The security guards there, I mean, everything is just off. It's just off. It's just off. It's just off. You look up to it and to get to the roof, which is hard to do, but to get to the roof, it's such a juxtaposition too. You are sitting there and you're on the top of downtown LA, 360-degree beautiful view, and you're sitting on hell. You feel it in the elevator. You feel it in the stairwells. You feel it. Long hallways that bundle up at the end where like the fire escape is, and you literally see stuff that's blood everywhere because it's been being fixed up by the city, and this was a flop house for a long time. I mean, it's still, they're trying to fix it up, flop house, but legitimize it.
Have you had any experiences there that has like ever that made you extremely scared? So like you wanted to leave the room or leave that floor in particular and not go back to that floor?
It was kind of scary when I was there with Elton, the TFIL crew, YouTuber guys. They had a Dybbuk. I did a seance and we did some stuff. We did some nice stuff too for Alyssa Lamb. We brought in some like kind of magical things too, but we did open a Dybbuk box that they had brought from the Conjuring house. So that was a little scary as we're literally running, chasing on the roof. I mean, we could have gone over the roof. These are cute boys. They were, climbing these are like daredevil guys. They were like climbing the fire escapes and stuff. And they're the ones that said she could not have done this, or somebody, just a regular human, could not have done that. And if you see what they do, it's wild. So that was really scary. Being on the roof was really scary. The Zach stuff, again, the consciousness when I was like, why is he yelling? Why do we have to get out of here? And then the being attacked by the woman. I let spirits channel through me, be such dark ones and such desperate ones. I think that was the scariest.
So you get channeled with a lot of dark energy, or is it a lot of times neutral?
Yeah, and not in real life. I mean, television is television. They don't want to go to the fun place where the ghosts are hanging like the Roosevelt, where ghosts are hanging from the chandeliers having a good time because they got an Academy Award there. Again, big in life, big in death. TV, our weird humanness, we want to see the scary stuff. We do, especially paranormal TV. We want to see the scary stuff. So They go to the insane asylum, the prison, the serial killer's house, what humans want to see. Personally, I want a show where I could do the other stuff. Let's go play with a happy ghost, have it a party at, the American Legion Hall or something, but that one hasn't been sold yet.
We talked previously about what we found in the paranormal field. It's love. We found love in the paranormal field. Yeah. They are just so willing to talk with us and our equipment and even just personal experiences and stuff we helped with family members crossing over and stuff like that. Yep. We're different in what we do when we investigate.
Who are you going to call? What are you going to do? There's a million right ways to do it. Just know what you're going to do. If you work with Jesus, call on Jesus. You work with angels, call on angels. You work with dragons, you call on dragons. You work with a deity, you call on a deity. You work with Palo Santo, that. Put stuff on the back of your neck, the biggest portal on your back. Always protect that. There's a billion things to do. But I love, and again, my day-to-day work, when I work with clients, in my seances, my mediumship galleries, are not the serial killers. We're talking to grandma. We're talking to your mom, your dad, the kid that died in school. And it is good. It is love. And that's the magic of it. And I love that you said that. And that's what you do for it, is love. And that's what the other world is too. Just like most people, most humans are good. Unless you're watching a fun sitcom, that's not what they're going to show on TV. And then it's overdrawn the other way. It's going to be the dramas and the crime dramas and the mystery dramas. Same thing with paranormal.
On one of our investigations, we were communicating with a spirit with one of our REM pods, and one of our team members, she had asked, does it look the same to you, or does it look different to you right now?
I think so. As a rule, I think it's all different, just like what's our personality like, what different things. But what I've noticed is I have this one, it's kind of like an ovulus, but it looks like a crystal ball. Old-time ghosts are not afraid of that so much. They understand a crystal ball. See some like Star Trek looking device that's all high tech, which most everybody uses, that might scare certain spirits. But if you make it look kind of old-fashioned or something they recognize, so yeah, I think that is true. Like, what is that? Who are these people coming in? That's something to take into consideration, and some starting to.
Well, I think with spirits, it's vice versa. Some are super intelligent that we've come across that know that the place is in disarray, and there's some that don't want to admit it, that it's in disarray. Like the spirit, like Travis said, we communicated with. He saw how it was, and he was still controlling this place. It was an old school that was 100 years old, abandoned. He just did not, we talked with the principal, and he didn't want to leave. He knew that this is what he was calling for. This is his calling. And now the place is demolished. So where's his soul now? We won't know,
Well, he's in a probably ethereal version of that. Because I've talked to spirits like, my favorite green recliner, if we're going into grandma, and maybe that favorite green recliner doesn't exist in this realm, but it still exists in there. So maybe he's at that place, but just in his realm now, not in ours. It's the crossover of the realm, so our realm and their realm. And I think most spirits, except for like the ones that get stuck by darker, bigger entities, or like at the Cecil that are stuck, a lot of spirits just hang out because they want to. Everybody says, oh, it's a ghost, they're stuck. No, most hang out. Grandma wants to come watch the grandkids grow up. So-and-so likes to hang out because they got an award there.
Now, at the Cecil, is there anything there that's not a human spirit?
A lot there that's not a human spirit. And the thing that's running it is not a human spirit.
If there was like one main evil force that was controlling all the others.
Now, yeah. And that could be some big demonic thing that's created. Or again, with all my occult background, it could be a created, an egregore. So something we create. It's a tulpa, it's an egregore, it's a servitor. It's something, so much evil creates, we create spirits all the time. But think of a place that had so much death, so much desperation, so much sadness, serial kill, people throwing babies out, people throwing each other out, people landing, all this stuff, so much desperation. It may not have been a demon up from the hells. It might have been created spirit, because we do create that all the time, but it's dark. Whatever it is, there's a bunch of spirits who are afraid of it. Because I talked to this one, I think with a TFIL, he's afraid, like somebody like in jail. Again, they feel very zombie-like stuck. I don't know that anybody's staying at the Cecil because they like it.
Now, do you think there's spirits in there that are trying to come up from this evil spirit trying to control them to help these new tenants come in, or these homeless people? Do you think that there's spirits up there that are trying to be like, hey, this is not the place you want to be?
What a good thought. That would be wonderful. I hope so. Because again, these were not all bad people that died there. Well, the ones that killed people were, I guess they were, but they were desperate people, all the suicides, all the overdoses. And we all know whenever there's like severe alcohol and drug stuff, that's when the really dark stuff comes in. So what I saw there recently when we actually got into the Cecil, that the tenants already looked like they were being possessed, but not in a good way.
All the accounts that this place has on it. And you go in there and everything's fine for a couple of days and you just start feeling dread, remorse, depression, just things that you've never felt before. But maybe you're a drug addict or alcoholic and you're going to ease that away with drinking or doing narcotics. It gets worse and you end up overdosing or taking medication with the alcohol or something like that. And now you're in this state that you don't know where you are, because of this place has created that mindset with that evil entity going back to it. It's controlling you. And I believe that's what controlled Elisa Lam and it controlled a lot of people, even that lady that jumped out the window and everything. All the suicides and deaths that happened there, I think that evil energy was controlling them.
On one of our investigations, I was feeling fine and everything, just going about the thing, and then there was a hole in the wall, and then I had told everybody, it's like, well, I'm going to get in the hole, blah, blah. I don't care. So I got in the hole, and then when I got in the hole, I still felt fine. And then after I got out of the hole, I was like a little bit kind of feeling a tad weird. I was like, whatever. And then the whole rest of the night, I was kind of like quiet, just sitting back and just my mood was just changing and I was just starting to get a little angry and agitated. And I don't know, for 2-3 weeks afterwards, I was just experiencing some aggression and everything and just getting irritated with everything a lot. And then I wasn't sleeping. I was having night terrors, just waking up in like a cold sweat and extremely hard sometimes.
That doesn't mean that energy can't turn dark. And now it's still a generator. It's still whatever. Yeah.
I was feeling fine. And now I'm like, kind of just like you're kind of like lost in outer space or something, just like that blank mind stare or the Hollywood typical thing of and getting high and then all of a sudden you just zone out and like you're in a big open void and everything.
Yeah, I think there's definitely this whole vortex has been created and it's not a holy place. It's never been a church to even have that, but it was supposed to be a luxury apartment and it never was, a luxury hotel and it never was. And all that, you walk in and the lobby is beautiful marble. It was supposed to be fancy of the day, and I think can be grounding stone. Yeah, people work with crystals and rocks to be grounding, but it's also just more of a generator, I think. And in the day, the apartments, or which were hotel rooms, are still really tiny because that's how they built them in the 20s. It didn't matter if you were a luxury hotel. You had a little tiny bed and a little tiny room. Some had bathrooms, a lot didn't. That's just how it was built in the 20s. So there was no luxury in the apartments or the hotel rooms themselves. Yeah.
Well, I want to know how you bribed yourself in off camera and got in there.
Yeah, that was amazing because I've tried a lot. And I'm pretty good at this. It's like, oh, this or that. And I was just here with GhostNET. I was just shooting a CW show because that's a show I recently shot that hasn't aired yet called Mysteries Decoded. They did a thing on the Cecil. I don't know when that's going to air, but I had just shot that. So I came up with some really good excuse, like I'd left my dowsing rods there or something. I lied, yeah. But that didn't get in. And I went back like a week later. And just, again, I'm sure the guards, the security guards get it every day because the whole world wants to go to the Cecil. Every paranormal investigator out there, every ghost hunter, every professional, non-professional wannabe, everybody. So I'm sure they are bombarded constantly. Some way we just got the right person and the right price. And again, you walk in, no cameras. I mean, we had our cell phone going, but there's no crew, no anything, and you still walk in and you go. So it's just who's the guard?
Exactly. I don't one
Yeah.
day, I mean, I wouldn't mind to go to the Cecil. I just want to feel that, that breath getting taken away from you. And to just be like, I think, no pun intended, we hit rock bottom. That's why I wanted to cover the Cecil.
Again, there's a YouTuber, not one that I work with, but he just tagged me on something. He lives in those apartments across the street, so he YouTubes on it a lot. And he was the one who just showed it, and so it begins kind of thing with all the ambulances and stuff. Even when we filmed Ghost Adventures there, even when I filmed TFIL there, even before they advertised it, there was a few people living there, which I don't think people really knew about, but you didn't see them. It's like you could be there for a day shooting or 2 day shooting. Even them, they were like invisible ghost people.
Really? Explain that. Explain that.
Even with Ghost Adventures, way before they're going to rent this place out, even with TFIL, they always said you can't go to floor 2 and 3 because people live there. You didn't see them, though. I know people across the street said they would see lights come on and lights go off and fans go on and fans come off. So that wasn't ghosts. That was people living there, but you didn't see them.
I know Zach had the water come on that episode of the Cecil.
There are spirit people there still paying rent. Walking the halls, they go to the end of the hall to smoke. That's the one spirit I talked backwards. His name was Bobby. Bobby. It's a 4-part series from the TFI. Bobby. His name was Bobby, and he came back. We were doing something later with Linda the Ghost Hunter, and he came back. But those are spirits. But there was living human people there that they did not talk about, but you didn't see them. And again, I spent enough days there that you should see somebody once in a while in the lobby. But they said you couldn't go there, but you would see lights come on and off. It's just nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense. And I do believe that Hollywood and Los Angeles, especially Hollywood, is right where it is because of these vortexes. It brings in the creative writers, actors, musicians, and the religious. Right by my house in the Hollywood Hills, there's 7 major religions. There's Theosophy, there's a Catholic monastery, there's this Vedanta society, there's it brings in these more creative, either right brain, whether they're entertainment people or religious people. And those vortexes go all the way down from the hills, from the Hollywood Hills down through Malibu. And that's why, again, that's where the creative people live. It's a love-hate thing, but there's something about downtown LA, which again was also, whether it's Native American land or everything that happened there, there's something under the ground that caused it to, not just all the horrible things that happened at the Cecil. But I've never looked into what that was. Somebody should. And even, again, I live in that Hollywood Hills neighborhood I talked about under the vortex. I'm doing houses all the time. That's where my craziest thing happened. There was a house around the corner. I've told this story a bunch, but literally it was a house built by Charlie Chaplin it was a party house, again, drugs and alcohol for Mary Astor, party house forever and ever. Then the Rolling Stones manager bought it and lived in it. And the Rolling Stones lived there, Mamas and Papas, Graham Parsons, somebody else. Then they moved out. Then the person who rented the real life sex doll moved in, and he moved out. Then Marilyn Manson, who's my neighbor for 7 years, moved in, recorded there in the dirt basement. Got too scary for Marilyn Manson, and he moved out. And then I'm shooting a documentary there, and this house had so much. It wasn't even demonic. It was just cranky ass ghosts. Literally, my cameraman. 4 cameras caught it. So 2 cameras caught it. Burst into flames. I've only had one spontaneous combustion. And that's right around the corner from my house. It's an old 1920s house. Looks like it was built like sacred geometry, like a mason built it. Oh wait, there's a 4 thing round staircase. Ghosts love that. There's exactly 12. There was literally a compass drawn on the floor, on the hot wood floor. Everything was about it was made for ritual or spirituality or magic. French doors flying open, and the producer part of me is like, wow, that's good. All legit. I wouldn't fake anything ever. And then the speaker on the floor, like old school, came on with like white noise, like sounded like a spirit box. Wasn't plugged in. That's happening again. The French door is this. All of a sudden, this kid got disrespectful. Don't get disrespectful. Because it's real. And then the cameraman burst into flames, literally up his back, like angel wings of fire up his back. 2 cameras caught it. 1 camera just like started filming the floor, the ceiling. His camera's facing the opposite way. He's wondering why everybody's screaming and pointing at him as his shirt goes up in flames like it was a synthetic. It should. So cool. Witch medium Patti becomes medic Patti, of which I am. I'm EMT. I'm like, drop and roll. And I'm calling in my guardians to shut it down, shut it down, shut it down. The cameraman was a super skeptic, and they fall hardest, as you guys know. And he's like, oh my God, I spontaneously get busted. He wasn't standing in front of a fireplace or anything. He just burst into flames. He's like, I'm okay. I have a sweater. I could take that burned shirt off, as I'm watching the blistering on his back. And I'm like, no. So I talked to the spirits because he wanted to do it. The kid who caused it, who got disrespectful with a ghost, he was not going to get disrespectful anymore. He became the choir boy in the corner. People screaming. Again, all in this little, very haunted looking house. So we were able to finish it, but it's still through a glass like 12 feet. I have never seen that anywhere else. They tried to push that same cameraman off the cliff. I live in a cliffy area. But the coolest thing that made it a positive story is 3 weeks later, the cameraman, again, super skeptic, made believer, he showed me his back where the blistering had happened, and it literally looked almost like just like he had got a tattoo of a dragon on his back.
Wow.
Open mouth, a sharp teeth, winged head into the shape of a serpent. And that's the exact energy I called in to shut down the seance. I work dragon energy. Dragons have been around forever. Chinese dragon, medieval dragon. They can fly between heaven and earth. I have dragons everywhere. Scary. I'm looking at this dragon on his back. I'm like, oh my God, you have a tramp stamp of a dragon on your back. That is like the coolest thing I have ever seen. And he thought so too. He wrote a script basically about a TV medium who does every reality show, basically about me, does every show out there. And then, shooting another reality show. And then a portal got opened. And then it turns into a horror film. It's really scary and it's really funny, which I like. He wrote it with Stephen Norrington, the guy who wrote The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and the Blade series, but they haven't done it yet. I hope they do it. I want somebody fabulous to play me. They haven't, but I sat down with him, and this is what Hollywood's got to understand. You can't say that. You can't have an actor say that on camera. He goes, but you said it. I go, I know I said it. Those words, exact words, do something. They open up a veil. You don't want to be one of those cursed horror films, do you? That happens where all the actors die at 27. Spirit, energy, all of the above don't know the difference of somebody's reading a script off a page and somebody's making these real sounds and words. It happens all the time. So we change them all. If they ever do it, it's not going to, make anybody pass out in the movie theater or all the actors, have a tragic accident. Because I changed it. Even my TFIL at the Cecil, they all we opened a Dybbuk box there. I brought them protection out the yin yang. I brought them oil for the back of their head. We're burning Palo Santo. I brought Cascarilla powder. But still, even with it so strong, they had weird bad lucks, like car accidents, car breaking in, for several weeks after.
That would be the attachment that building has on everything.
Yep.
And everyone that steps foot in it. With what you said about Ghost Adventures, let's talk more about that, about your experiences. Let's rewind and kind of replay that.
Zach had called me 2 weeks before, and he said, we're going to be in LA and we need you for something. Okay, great. Didn't hear from him. Heard from him 2 weeks later, and he said, we're here, and can we have you here in 2 hours? And I'm like, 2 hours. I'm in Long Beach. I can get there. Okay. Didn't tell me where I was going. He gave me an address downtown, which is good. I never know where I'm going. That's just how we do it. But as soon as I got there, and again, it's funky downtown LA, Cecil, I saw the big sign. I saw the water towers. I'm like, it's the Alyssa Lamb place. That's all I knew. I didn't know anything about serial killers or people jumping out of windows or maybe any of that. But I parked, and it's kind of funky down there. So you're walking up Skid Row. And the first thing that just, besides the fact that the building starts coming in on you are invited, you're half a block away and the building is already like this. And then there was this rat standing in front of me, a huge rat. I'm not that afraid of rats. You get startled. But instead of running away like a rat normally would, he was blocking me. I would go right, and the rat would go right, and I would go left, and the rat would go left, and back and left, and dancing and dancing. I'm like, this is about the weirdest thing ever. As I'm getting ready to walk into this place, I just do it. Never. And I'm like, rat, you have to move. So again, so he finally did move. I just crunched on past him and I get into the door, and it's weird. There's these double doors, this hotel, and then you get into this marble thing. You are walking into a different world. And I'm walking in, and again, I'm allowing trance state, and the building starts taking me over, and you're just depressed. You are desperate. You don't want to be there. You don't want to die. I mean, you want to die. It takes all your energy. And what was the rat? And I go into this little girl trancy thing, and there pop the guys, Zach and Aaron and Jay and Billy, and everything's all ready to go. They've been there for a few hours, and everything's strapped on, and they're like, okay, Patti, we're here. You're here. Where do we go? There's 14 floors and there's 700 rooms. They're all unlocked. Well, except for those 2 floors you can't go into. I don't even think they said that. They go, show us where to go. So then I walk to the elevators, and it's weird kind of mirroring. I'm like, it just flashed on me. This is the Elisa Lam elevator. And you remember seeing the video, everybody saw her pushing those buttons and the room's coming in on me. And of course that elevator had 2 mirrors facing each other. The getting into the air mirror which creates spirit portal. Everybody knows that. 2 mirrors facing each other. You're going to build that energy. That's what was in the hallway before you got into the elevator, and that's what was in the elevator. It's like, oh, Lordy. So I pushed a button, didn't know where I was going, didn't know anything about it. And I'm leading him to a room, and we did a bunch of stuff in hallway that didn't make it into thing. It was good stuff, though. There's one spirit calling me around, and but they have to pick the best stuff. But I led them right into this room, and again, the just hopelessness took over, and I look at a window and I go, I got to get out of here. So I walk over to the window. It's this tiny little room. It's not furnished. They've been working on everything. And I'm opening the window. And I just got to get out of here. I'm going into trance state. And all of a sudden, the 10, 15% that's still Patti, I'm going, why is he yelling at me? Zach's yelling at me. He was like, Patti, sit down. Patti, sit down. And even more than I think that showed on TV, because they probably cut that part out. Patti, sit down. And I'm like, he's never done this before. Why is he doing it? And I just got to get out of it. We didn't have a screen on it in this window. And he just made me sit down. I go, why? And I sit down, and I look, after I saw it on camera, they had an SLS with this little thing bouncing on me. I had no idea that of the 700 rooms, I had led them into a room where somebody had jumped out that exact window. I totally get why they jumped out the window. I think I wanted to jump out the window. I just had to get out of here. The through line of that place is I got to get out of here. If that means killing myself, if that means killing somebody else. So he led me out of that room, and same thing. Okay, there's 700 rooms. Tell us where to go. And besides the really interesting stuff we did in the hallways, and I led them into another room. I didn't know anything about Richard Ramirez. I didn't know anything. And I led them into this other, again, they're all small and icky little rooms, and they had not been fixed up yet. I don't know if they still have. Oh my God, I just felt spirit-wise, I was totally being attacked. Totally. I was so scared. I'm like, don't go there. Don't go there. And I was, again, desperate and hopeless and not in control. Like, so I was being attacked, and I was holding myself. I looked like a little kid who had to go pee, like an 8-year-old boy. And I'm like, don't go there. Don't go there. And I remember Zach saying, what's going on? What's happening? What is happening? I'm like, attack, attack. And I remember him saying something like, where are you attacked? And the part of me that I have to keep in consciousness so they don't get to keep me, I remember saying, well, how do you say that body part on TV? And I don't know what I said. I said something like lady parts or female parts or something like that. Out of all 700 rooms, I led them right to a room where this woman, Goldie something, and again, I did not know this until after the fact, had been raped and murdered there. She lived there. It was this sweet lady who fed the birds of Pershing Square every day, and somebody raped and murdered her right there. And I felt it all. Her desperation, her hopeless, and violence, because sometimes they're just desperate and they're just hopeless. Hers was violence. I remember again, so much stuff in the hallways. I think people would pace. I think spirits pace the hallways right now, like zombies. And the living, I think, paced the hallways. We'll see if the people moving in now which they probably are because they look like zombies as they were entering. Your little apartment is this big. Your apartment is like a tiny house. Some have bathrooms, some don't have bathrooms, but they're little no matter what. You can't spread out there, so people walk the hallways. And I think it's created some weird energy, like almost like a vortex or whatever. And you mindlessly want to get out of there, but you can't get out of there. It's like Hotel California. You can check in, but you can't get out.
Like the Cecil Hotel's a labyrinth of just never ending.
Yeah.
And it is.
The Cecil Hotel is something that you basically, if you traveled to LA, don't travel to Skid Row, travel somewhere else, go down to the beach side, don't pick the Cecil Hotel because
you probably won't get in.
Well, if you get in, you probably won't get out.
And if you're a person looking for Section 8 housing because you can't afford your own apartment, find a different one.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's watched Ghost Adventures, but, just to hear your stories from shooting that episode and being with the crew is something amazing.
But yeah, there is darkness out there. There is evil. So much undiscovered. What and why, I don't know. We have to go heal the place. You guys come if we do it.
Oh, for sure.
Who knows where we're going to be next? But we love what we do.
Yeah, no, keep it up the good work, you guys. It's obviously what you're supposed to be doing, so...
I do appreciate, Patti, you coming on to the podcast. Thank you for joining us on the GhostNET Paranormal Podcast here, talking about the Cecil Hotel, and we kind of ventured off about more spiritual stuff, and that is absolutely fine because our podcast is just all over the place.
Thank you for having me on. You guys are great. I had a good time, so thank you.
Visit GhostNet Paranormal at facebook.com/GhostNet Paranormal.